Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for your Sunday evening Chelsea transfer news. Because Chelsea don't sleep. We thought we might have a little bit of a breather after the season finished. I told you this on Friday already. I wanted to do a full season rating stream. Still haven't got around to it. It's only been 2 days since we last streamed, and we're back with more transfer news. And quite frankly, guys, I could have easily streamed yesterday as well if I wasn't busy, because yesterday was even more crazy with the amount of news than today. It is absolutely insane. But Chelsea are seemingly making moves. Even though we were yesterday told it's fully done, Ugarte to Chelsea is done, we were all losing our minds. It's not quite done, but it's very, very nearly done. We will get to it, obviously, more detail. We will explain everything. But it does seem like it will be done very, very soon, whether that means later today, whether that means in the next 1 or 2 or 3 days. But I'm very confident at this point that it will get done. Of course, Kai Havertz to Real Madrid, that is heating up more and more and more. Different reports, some saying contact has already been made, some saying it will be made soon. Some are talking about a huge deal, some are talking about 50 million, where I'm like, it's not huge, that is it? So we'll talk about that. And Ngolo Kante, apparently the Saudi Arabian teams might be interested and might be trying to get something done, even though Ngolo himself actually wants to stay at Chelsea. And of course, to top it off, Eden Hazard has left Real Madrid as a free agent after they terminated his contract. Should we bring him back? Should we not? What does he do? Where does he go? Does he retire? That and much more is what we're going to talk about today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, appreciate you all very, very much. Hit that like button for me and subscribe if you haven't already. Mo, I'll start with you. Thank you for being back on. We were just talking about your wonderful kit before we went live, the all blacked out, whatever it's called, Dortmund kit. So shout out for that, bro. But yeah, we were obviously here 2 days ago, and we were talking about at least similar topics, but things have heated up since then, haven't they? So before we get to Pice, and he can probably do it more factually in terms of how exactly things have gone and stuff, I'll take it to you first. Like, what a whirlwind of emotions we went through already over the last 2 days. Again, like, first Ugarte was done, then all of a sudden it maybe wasn't done, and then all of a sudden PSG agreement, and I was like, yeah, but he's had this agreement for 2 weeks, no? So where do you sit at the moment? And still excited about Ugarte, because you seemed very excited about him 2 days ago.
I am excited, bro. And I think the difficulty with this type of transfer window is, like, we're 4 days in and I'm already stressed out. I feel like I've aged in 4 days, because I'm like, for goodness sake, there's departures happening, there's players that were being linked with, there's agreements happening, then suddenly it looks like it's almost done, or that's what the breaking news is, to then suddenly, oh no, PSG have swooped right back in and they've agreed terms. And I'm like, what the hell is going on, man? At this point, I can't lie, 4 days in, I'm exhausted. That's how I feel. I feel exhausted. I just want these deals to get done. I'll be honest, I think it's a good sign. And I think if by July the 1st, when Pochettino is in charge, we're going to get into preseason. If we have our business done early, it just gives the manager a headway start to, preparing for the season, knowing what the squad looks like. The players are also then clear about what the upcoming season looks like, who their teammates are going to be, etc. I just want this, this at the moment. I think when the season is finished, it's probably been the most toxic down moment of Chelsea Football Club. So it's very clear we need a big change. So this change finally happening is fantastic for us. I think all the different things you've mentioned, from Ngolo Kante to Kai Havertz to, like, all of these different stuff, doesn't really shock me. We were being told for months on end, prepare for a big summer. I didn't think it would be 4 days in I would be talking about this amount of movements. So it's good to see. At the same time, and it's heartbreaking to see Hazard obviously getting released. And I will never forgive Real Madrid Football Club for what they've done to that guy. And I'm happy they gave us the money that they did, but I blame them fully for breaking Eden Hazard, man. The guy does not look like he gets to enjoy football anymore. The fact that he's even considering retirement, for me, speaks volumes about how he feels about the beautiful game.
How old is he? Like 32 or whatever?
Exactly, bro. That's what's sad. And I wish him nothing but the best. And, the sentiment in me wants to say, yeah, bring him back. Let's give him one more run. But I'm also very realistic in saying I don't want to destroy any of his legacy, man. I'm tired of our club being in a toxic state, and I don't want that to end up with him as well. We've got such fantastic memories of him. We respect him. We love him quite a lot. And if he wants to do anything in coaching related or anything in football related, then I'd consider it, because then I'm like, hey, maybe he has something to offer, because he is technically one of the best players we've ever seen at Chelsea Football Club. But yeah, man, I'm just waiting for this window to kind of get to a point where we have that first signing in through the door, and I'm hoping it starts to have the knock-on effect that we need. Because right now I'm stressed. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Pice, I'll take it to you. And imagine if Mo's stressed. Imagine how stressed Pice has got to be. And it's well only 4 days in. Pice has got a long summer ahead of him. I mean, as do we all. But Pice, I can't remember, was this earlier today? I think it might have been earlier today. When there was obviously the Havertz stuff is heating up and the Mount stuff still doesn't really look like it's going away. Even though Chile and Reece have both said that they're like, oh, they hope he's staying or whatever, which I found interesting, because would they say they hope he's staying if it's already done that he's leaving? Don't think so. So I'm not saying that means there's much of a chance that he stays, but I guess that means it's not done yet or anything, or he hasn't told them anyway. But yeah, because James, even though they weren't together it was Mount, Chile and Felix together and James kind of separately at the Barcelona GP today. Another depressing day for Ferrari fans, as we have so many nowadays. So that's fun. But yeah, Pice, what I said to you earlier is in terms of, I just because so many players are leaving and we haven't even been linked to replacements for all of them. And we definitely don't have replacements for all of them ready. So I am a little bit concerned in terms of when we talk about a striker situation. All right, Felix leaving, Havertz leaving, Aubameyang's leaving, and we haven't even been seriously linked to a striker. And me personally, I do not believe that we will get Osimhen. I would love if we could, but I just see it as, why would he come to us now? Like, it's just won the Italian league. I know Spalletti's leaving, but everyone will be after him. Why would he pick us? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's different to Ugarte, who's a young player from Sporting, who hasn't won anything, who isn't like, I mean, Osimhen, and I know he didn't win Player of the Season. That was Quaradonna that won that, but still, he won like the Golden Boot, and like he was the guy at Napoli winning the Scudetto. Like, that's different to someone like Ugarte to me. So I'm a little bit concerned from that end of the spectrum, but at the same time, I'm still also impressed by how quickly a lot of the goings out are going along, but also that we're seemingly seriously on that Ugarte stuff. So, guys, whirlwind of emotions for you as well yesterday, or did you manage to keep a cool head throughout the craziness?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing you started off this stream was by basically saying, like, you know, Pice will give us an update on where everything's at. I mean, I'm struggling myself, to be fair, you know. Remembering everything, it's just crazy. Like, the window doesn't officially open until the 14th of June. I know we're on the 4th now, but, you know, our window opened practically when the season was ended. So, you know, I think in some ways it's good because, like you said, the quicker we can get players out and in, you know, the more time Pochettino will have. And we can always make these signings official when the window does open. But, it's been really busy. I mean, I'm excited to see what happens. In terms of, like, the whole, like, you know, I don't think we'll get Osimhen, or I don't think we'll get this and that because of other teams. I think when it comes to Osimhen specifically, I think we're probably the only team that can afford him, to be honest with you, or that would pay that stupid price. So I can see that one happening if we fully went for it. But other players such as Caicedo, Arsenal will be in for him. So I think it's going to have to. We're going to have to be on it early, I think, is the key to all of this. You know, don't get yourselves in a situation where the guy has to pick one or another. You know, present your project really early before the other clubs get in there. And I think that's what we've been quite good at doing since the ownership took over. I know PSG were supposedly in there first, and that's why we went in. But, you know, it was still very, very early going through Ugarte. And, I mean, other clubs, if you look around, only really... You know, Man United potentially preparing a bid for Mount, Rice, Arsenal potentially doing a bid for what's his name, Rice. Spurs doing their manager still. So there's not a lot of clubs in the Premier League that are actually like working as hard as us right now. That's why it has been so busy.
It helps us that City are, still got a Champions League final to play. United played an FA Cup final yesterday.
I suppose Liverpool signing McAllister, but with us, it's just like Ugarte. We're working on like 15 outgoings, like Caicedo news, Havertz news. Like it's just crazy. It won't stop. So
it genuinely is crazy. Because I feel like everybody's here to find out about Ugarte. So let's talk about that first. We'll talk about all the kind of smaller like roundup from yesterday. We'll get through all of that, which obviously a lot of that has Ugarte in it. So we'll talk about that first. But then we'll go into more detail on the Mason Mount stuff, news today, Ngolo Kante, and of course Kai Havertz, what that has to do with Eden Hazard, if anything, and whether we should bring Hazard back or not. That is going to be more our opinion, because I think most people are probably going to be aware that that's not happening. But we'll have to wait and see. So it started off with, Pice, yesterday, that record from Portugal, who at this point, like with the Enzo stuff and now with the Ugarte stuff, they just seem very reliable. So you kind of take their word for them. But they broke the story yesterday afternoon when they were like, Manuel Ugarte to Chelsea player, is a Chelsea player, it's done. Then we found out what that basically meant is that he chose Chelsea, that he basically chose to agree to Chelsea's, wage offer, I guess, or contract offer, but chose to go to Chelsea rather than to PSG. But not necessarily everything's done yet, because the clubs between Chelsea and Sporting still need to sort everything out. Is that correct? Would you put it that way as well?
Yeah, pretty much. They said, he's a Chelsea player, it's closed, it's done type thing. The agreement between Chelsea and Sporting, like essentially what Record have been saying the whole time is like, Sporting don't care who he goes to, because both teams had agreed to pay the release clause, and in Chelsea's case a bit more. So it was like, as far as they was concerned, as soon as Ugarte chose, that was who he was going to. It was, they were the first to break it, and I mean, it's heading in that direction of travel. Even we'll get onto it later, but we're in Portugal right now, supposedly trying to officially close it. So yeah, I think a few fans were sort of like, like a bit of the dopamine hype fell off when Fabrizio said it's not officially closed yet, and Chelsea are being careful because of how the Enzo saga went. But I think it's 95% done, if we're being completely honest. Like, I don't think PSG are going to come in and like change his mind. I just don't see that. Also, fun fact, Ugarte's dad followed me last night, which was pretty cool, on Twitter. Had it confirmed it was him, and he was liking stuff about Chelsea. So that's another indication for me.
Yeah. Although I have also heard apparently his dad has also liked loads of things with like Liverpool and all sorts of things. So,
yeah, because he was linked to the Premier League before with Liverpool. So that's probably why.
There you go. Well, one thing to maybe touch on quickly before we move on to a few more other details, and you can tell me whether whatever I read is correct or not, because I read it somewhere, but I can't remember who said it. That obviously, like you just touched on, Chelsea and PSG are both paying the release clause, which lies at 60 million euros, about 52 million pounds. We're paying a bit extra, I think, in bonuses. But PSG apparently were willing to pay it in 3 installments or 2 installments, and we're going to pay it in 5. Is that the case? Is that reliable enough information to go with it, or is that more of a bit of a story that we can't be sure about yet?
We can't be sure about that yet, I don't think. I did read similar, but I think PSG's was actually in 2, I think I read. Okay. But at the end of the day, I think it's down to like the player's choice, because Record had said it was basically whoever he chose he's going to, because they're happy with either. So I think that's what needs to be closed now, right? It's more like Chelsea and Sporting rather than, Ugarte and Chelsea, I think. But we'll probably find that more soon.
Yeah, there you go. And I mean, you touched on it there. He chose Chelsea. Ugarte will apparently earn 3.5 million euros in wages at Chelsea, as Record reported. It is, I have also read, I think it was Rob that said that it is a situation of once we are back in the Champions League, his wages will increase, which makes sense. I think that's a reasonable way to go about it. But still, I think it's important to highlight that PSG have reportedly offered him 5 million euros a year, like a whole 1.5 mil. If someone, like, especially on a 5-year deal, that's it's a lot of money that he's just like saying like, nah, I'd rather take the less money. So why do you think he picked us? Is it the project? Is it not believing in PSG? By the way, let's quickly touch on this. Apparently, Nagelsmann is going to PSG. Can we just all confirm now that Julian Nagelsmann, as much as I rate him and wanted him, is a bit of a clown? Like, how can you sit there and say, I don't believe in the Chelsea project, but go to PSG? What? Why is that? Go, Mo.
I think money talks in that situation. That's the best way I can put it. I don't know what else it could be, because at the end of the day, I guess from one perspective, PSG usually win their league. PSG are usually in a situation where they're quite favorable domestically, but European-wise is where the pressure is at. And I do wonder if he goes to PSG, if he's even going to last longer than 2 years at best. We've seen some of the best managers end up there and still not have a good crack at it, just because of the way the setup of that whole club works. So I'll be very shocked if he does end up there, because to me that kind of caused a lot of BS on the whole point of why things didn't work out with us initially.
And I'll be more likely that it was actually us that weren't fully sold on him than him not being sold on us, in my opinion.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. I think a part of it is just like, what I'm really confused about is if he looks at the project at PSG, when you've seen, like really big managers end up at that club and actually have a lot of struggle at being able to control a lot of that dressing room, control the way that club is set up as a whole, the way they get to actually do stuff. It kind of lets you know that PSG is not going to play about with nobody unless you somehow bring the Champions League to them. I just don't think they're going to take managers seriously. So for me, it's a backward step in that sense for him to go to that type of club. Absolutely. And then when you think about, hey, the other option was Spurs, then I'm like, okay, I kind of understand that because I'm like, between both of those clubs, I'd still pick PSG.
I can't believe, by the way, that Spurs are actually getting Postecoglou, and I don't know much about Postecoglou, but Celtic is his first European stop, and the man's in his late 50s, 60s. Like, I was outraged when we were linked with him, not because I think he's a bad manager, but because I was like, well, have we not seen how things with lesser name managers, lesser established managers have gone? I guess Spurs have done the opposite, where they've had Jose and Conte recently. So I guess for them, it makes a little more sense. But still, it does kind of amuse me. Pies, before we get into the Ugarte wage and contract thing in more detail, are you also find it kind of hilarious that Nagelsmann seemingly is going to PSG? Also, Thierry Henry is apparently going to be his assistant. Thierry Henry has been a full-time manager. What is it with all these ex-players being incapable of being good proper managers? Like, it's just weird, isn't it? Like Henry, not that he's not failed like a Lampard or a Gary Neville, but still. But also you have your Lampard, you have your Gary Nevilles, even Steven Gerrard did well at Rangers, but his Villa spell didn't exactly go to plan, did it? Now at the same time, you've got Pep said there that all the Spanish players, they're going to be amazing coaches. Xavi has obviously won La Liga now. Pep says Busquets is going to be an amazing coach. So I don't know if it's just England ruining everybody, but but it's weird to me that, well, first of all, the Nagelsmann to go to PSG, and also that Thierry Henry is going there as an assistant. Like this just doesn't sound like a recipe for success in my books. I could be wrong, but it just sounds like there's way too much ammo for explosion there.
Yeah, I think Nagelsmann to PSG is quite a weird move, especially because I just don't know how he works with their board, to be fair. Yeah, it's strange. I don't know if Campos is going to stay, but he's a difficult character as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a strange move, but it's not that surprising. Like, they are a big club, and it's he's been at Bayern Munich, going to PSG. It's, I don't know. I guess it makes sense for him, but it's just a bit strange that he didn't take a Premier League job, I guess. But he's still young enough to take one in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's maybe from that kind of perspective, maybe it's smart for him because Prem is the most difficult league. Prem is where you have the most the best all other coaches that you have to go up against. So I guess adding a bit more experience elsewhere outside of the Bundesliga to his CV and to his knowledge, I guess, is useful. But I just still find it I'm not surprised that PSG went for him. Not surprised for that at all. But although I expected more Luis Enrique than Julian Nagelsmann, although Enrique apparently just wants the Prem, but you're not getting a Prem job now, so I don't understand about this. But yeah, Pice, 3.5 million. Can we literally just say he just believes in our project more, or how else can we explain that he chose us over PSG on 1.5 million euros per year less?
Well, record says it was a mixture of the Premier League dream and him being convinced by a sporting project. So I think it's a bit of both. So yeah, there's not really much else to be had, to be honest. That's the only things that they've said why he chose us.
There you go. I mean, it's a very interesting one because I'm always stuck in two minds for the last few weeks since the whole Mount leaving, but also just how much dodgy stuff there seems to be happening around the football club. Where I'm on 1 second of the day or for 1 hour of the day, I'm just pessimistic about everything. Everything's going down the drain, and then and there's another hour in the day where I'm like, yeah, but we could do some good things, and I still have my worries about having no experience, but that is a whole different situation. Mo, is that a part that makes you even more excited about Ugarte, that he seems to have chosen us over PSG, even though we offered him quite significantly less money? Sure, of course, the Premier League dream is, as much as we are a Premier League team, that we're just located in London, so that's not much of an achievement for us to be in the Premier League. Although, to be fair, we nearly got relegated, so then we couldn't have signed him, I guess. But I guess, well, that does for not getting relegated. But otherwise, I think it makes me like him more that he picks us in this scenario.
And I think what Max has already said is perfectly spot on. I do think we are lucky that we obviously play in the Premier League, and the fact that we're a London club is just makes us a more attractive and proposition for a lot of players that we tend to be linked with.
Yeah.
And I think in this scenario, our project is something that, although we did so terribly bad this past season, I do think it speaks volumes in terms of the amount of investment that's going. I do think players are paying attention to that. And the fact that we are also able to convince by saying, you know, obviously we've got Pochettino, we've got Enzo, we've got all of these different players that have already been convinced of this. That's already in itself is showing that although we've been so down in the dumpster, in terms of our future outlook, it is actually a lot brighter. So for me, I do think there's certain things that are just far more convincing. The fact that we're in the Premier League, the fact that our project is something that clearly shows there's a big investment going on here, which means at some point players will look at, hey, maybe this is going to be the thing that you want to be part of. And the fact that he's chosen us over PSG does not surprise me, in a sense that I do think when you look at this PSG team over the years, they have always grabbed these types of talents like himself, and it's not always quite worked out at PSG.
They also have a lot of midfielders. I mean, I don't know how many of them could be leaving, but they've got what? Renato Sanchez, the Portuguese guy, Vitinha, I think. They've got Fabian, they've got Carlos Soler,
so many.
They've got Verratti, they've got like the countless of midfielders. So I also understand like why maybe he wouldn't choose to go there, but I don't know if maybe some of these are actually leaving. I don't.
It's not just the fact that they've got a lot of midfielders. Like number one on the list, you don't know who's managing you next year at PSG. I think that's off-putting when you think about it from a play perspective, and I'm actually quite surprised more players don't put that into consideration sometimes. And in terms of when they're joining a club, how well is this club going to suit my needs? How well are they going to utilize, you know, the type of player that I am and help me develop as a player too? I do think those things are things that players should put a lot more value into, rather than just, you know, following the money and seeing who offers me the most money. Understand you still want to be successful at the end of your career, and the best way to do that is looking at those types of factors. Now, I'm not going to be sat here telling you that, you know, Chelsea have the best track record with managers and, you know, and for, like in terms of project as a whole, but I do think this is a new beginning for us, and as slow as last season has been for us, I think the outlook for the next 5-10 years could be a lot better than what we're seeing right now. And the fact that players are being convinced from that perspective, for me, fills me with a lot of joy. I don't want players to join us because there's just success here. I want players to be convinced by the fact. Yeah, exactly. I want them to be convinced by what we're trying to build, and they want to be part of the story. They want to be part of the success that we're building towards, and they are actually interested in being part of that journey, rather than just, you know, we're here to just, you know, put the finishing touches with you as a player, etc. And I think also Ugarte being signed in this case, if Caicedo then looks at that situation, I can't help but wonder if he looks at that and thinks to himself, man, I'm going to be playing alongside and Enzo and Ugarte.
And I still don't understand, because we're expecting Poch to play a 4-2-3-1, so it's only ever going to be two of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to be two of those or all three of those. We don't know, because at the end of the day, he might look at the squad and say, you know what, these three can complement each other the way he wants them to in that midfield. Or it's just at the end of the day, look at it from this perspective. We have plenty of competitions. Hopefully, we're back in the Champions League from next season onwards. But like once we have a lot of competition, I do think it's definitely going to be falling in people's favor, because I last thing I want to see is us mismanaging players again. I don't want what's happening with Reece James to continue. I don't want what's happened with Ngolo Kante to become a thing with us. The best way to make that a thing of the past is, in my opinion, have better competition available to you, so that you're actually way less hesitant to make changes to the squad when it's needed.
Yeah, there you go. Pice, before we take it on to the today's news in terms of that Chelsea are in Portugal trying to get it done, basically. Just your thoughts on this quickly, because if we are right to assume that Poch will play a 4-2-3-1, and we're buying Ugarte and Caicedo, one of them will be a very expensive backup, considering especially while playing one game.
We need competition.
In an ideal, let me just finish this. Sorry. Usually when you have expensive backups, then you don't sign them in the same window, right? You don't tend to sign expensive players and make them a backup there and then. Usually you sign a player, you play them for a bit, then they're not as good anymore. You want to improve on them. So then 2 years later, you buy a new player and make that player you bought 2 years ago the backup, rather than buying two at the same time, both very expensive. One of them starts as a backup, one of them starts as starter. That's kind of weird. It doesn't happen often, does it? With players of this, in terms of financial magnitude, when we're talking 50 million and upwards, you don't tend to buy them knowing one of them will be on the bench.
Yeah, but maybe the club don't want to miss out on either one of them.
No, maybe absolutely. It's still weird though.
I don't know. I mean, I was having this debate on Space the other day. I did, and speaker came in called Archie, and he said, like, you guys need to, like, he said to me, like, advise you to, you know, stop thinking about just next season. Like, these are investments for the next few seasons, and like Mo said, when we get back into competitions, we're going to need these players, and especially he also said, like, it gives Poch a lot of options, because we could play like a 4-2-3-1 for the most of the time. But then, like, in a big game, we could throw like a spanner in the works, like in a tactical sense, and we could play all three of them in the midfield. Like, it gives him a lot of options.
Or play
like,
Enzo as a 10, I guess.
Yeah, like we can do a lot of different things. So I was of the opinion, like, oh, where are they all going to fit in type thing. But I mean, after we had like this long debate on the Space the other day, I'm perfectly fine with getting both personally.
I mean, hey, if them two are fine with it, then why should I have a problem with it? But I still find it a bit odd, and I just hope it works out in a positive way, I suppose. But let's bring up the latest news of the day. Where is it? Not here. Is it in? Hello? Why? It's that one. Why is it not showing up? Bloody hell.
There's too much news. I can't handle it.
Clearly. There you go. No, it was just a similar picture. That's why I didn't clock. My apologies. But yeah, Fabrizio said that Chelsea are right now in Portugal trying to complete the Manuel Ugarte deal. And then you followed it up with more info from Fabrizio. He says the deal between Chelsea and Sporting is imminent. It's now about completing the agreement on the player side with Jorge Mendes. Chelsea are careful because PSG are still around and have a good relationship with Mendes too. I do find it weird. I don't know if it's because of some things that happened in the past with us, although it's not happened that usually we are the ones that steal players from others. It's rare that other teams steal players from us. So I'm not really sure where Fabrizio's hesitation comes from. I guess, with Enzo, but no one else went in for him still. So the situation is a bit different in that sense. But I like that. I was a little bit concerned that we would be so busy selling players that we would take too long in buying players. So that's one of the biggest positives for me, that we are seemingly very close to getting this Ugarte stuff done. But do you have any information, Pies? Who is part of that in Portugal? Like, is Bowley there? Is Ekbali there? Is only one of them there? Are we Stanley and Laurenz Stewart there? What would you know about that, if anything?
I've asked, but no response yet, unfortunately. But yeah, I did ask earlier, so I'll let you know when I find out. But nothing yet.
There you go. Sorry, I'm just confused by this. Did I? Because I don't think so. Because I remember you off Twitter. You had like the Irish. An island flag next to you. I don't remember blocking you. So I'm a little bit confused by that, because I don't think so. Because I actually thought, oh yeah, look him. I know him from the chat as well. So I'm a little bit confused by that. I will go through my blocks, and then I will unblock you unless I forgot why I blocked you. But I'm not usually one to block many people. So I don't know. But yeah, to me, good stuff that we're getting it done, Pies. Much else to add on that other than, like I say, it's seemingly imminent. I find it interesting that Fabrizio still a little bit hesitant as the kind of tweet goes on, but imminent, unless Fabrizio doesn't really know what exactly the word imminent means. Imminent means pretty much done. So that is a positive, no?
I don't know where this slight hesitation is coming from. Like, on his YouTube video, he was mentioning, like, until Chelsea gets to the document stage, they're going to be very careful. Like, weren't we the ones who, like, fucked up all the documents and stuff before?
With Enzo.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused, but I mean, maybe there's more to meet the eye. Maybe Benfica messed it up as well. I don't know, but but I do think it's also slightly strange to sort of have hesitancy, like, just because it's another Portuguese club. Like, it's kind of unfair to Like, how many deals have we done with Sporting? Who have we actually signed from Sporting in the past? Like,
Mate,
what
I
is
can't
there to
remember
tell
one.
you apart from...
Can you?
Yeah,
I feel like we've
apart from-
done more deals with Benfica though than Sporting. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So I can't
Yeah,
remember.
so
They
like,
don't sign anyone from Sporting.
why this hesitancy just because it's another Portuguese club? I find that a bit strange, but
Yeah.
the current situation is just wait for the next update, essentially. And I think it's very close, though.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I would probably be of the same opinion. You know what, guys? Let's bring it to Pice's news roundup from yesterday, because I think that's interesting. Obviously, a lot of the stuff about Ugarte will have already been in that, but I guess we touch on Mason Mount a little bit again. This one I found very interesting yesterday. Man United opened official talks with Chelsea for Mount, but also that Mount rejected 3 contract offers. Chelsea say they tried everything, but many of these claims are disputed on Mount's end. Also, that those close to Mount's camp firmly deny that his decision is at all led by financial motivation, and that Mount is looking for a clear role and stability. I find that all a bit strange. And then there was also talk about that the highest offer Mount rejected was a £200,000 a week offer. Now, I don't know this, but my assumption is that's probably that 1-year deal that we offered him. But I said this yesterday, 2 days ago, and I will keep saying this. I've never heard of a 24-year-old signing a 1-year deal. If I'm a 24-year-old Mason Mount, I would not agree to a 1-year deal because I'm like, are you taking the piss, guys? But the whole 3 contract offers is very strange, especially with Mount's end disputing. I mean, I think we probably touched on this as well 2 days ago, Pice, but it's just weird to me how it's such a weird PR war right now. Like, it just seems like the club is trying to push out their PR and Mount's side of the camp is pushing out their PR. But then sometimes we kind of hear things where it's like, you know, Chelsea still want to keep him. Poch still wants to keep him. Mount still has hope of staying. But I'm like, what is it? Like, because at this point, no matter who the source is, at this point, I can't believe any of them anymore until I see anything final being done, because it just seems like a PR war where everyone's trying to save face. The club, the directorship is trying to save face. Mount is trying to save face and not, you know, look like the bad villain within Chelsea fans. I know you're bored of it a little bit, but do you also find that weird how much of a PR war this has become?
I think this has got to be like one of the most messy negotiations ever. But yeah, it's definitely a PR war. And the thing is, it's only going to get like more is going to get pushed out the closer this deal gets to Man United. And I dread to think what comes out if that actually gets, you know, if it goes through. Like, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stories as to what happened, because like once he's gone, like then you can kind of say a lot what's happened. But I guess until he's officially gone, like maybe some outlets are being held back by the club or whatever. But I think we need to be careful though. You know, I will post the reports as always, but I think we should just not like say, oh, fuck Mount, he's a snake, this, that, the other. Like there's probably more than meets the eye. Like, it's not, I don't think it's one side fucked it or like that side. Like, I'm sure there's been, you know, wrong from both sides. And I don't ever really think like the media is going to publish the whole truth, because to be honest with you, like I guarantee like 2 reliable sources will say one thing and then like another really reliable source will say the complete opposite, and you'll be like, okay, what the hell do I believe? So yeah, I mean it's very, very difficult to say really what's happened.
Yeah, no, exactly. I see a lot of people on Twitter now here in the chat as well that ask why I think the 1-year deal is ridiculous. Because I disagree with what Max says here in terms of a 1-year. There's a great opportunity for Mount. He still gets the advantage. He doesn't want to be here. He knows he's become a backup to Nkunku, scares him. I just like Mount is 24 years old. At 24 years old, you want to know where you're going to be, what you're going to do. This is not a time in your career. This is entering your prime. 25, 26, this is when you're entering your prime as a footballer. You don't want to be in limbo in that stage. Like at 24, you want to know where you're going to spend your prime. I think that most players will be in that position. Like that's why players tend to move between 20 and 24 and then less so between 20 and 28, other than big moves to like when they fully made in and they get the Real Madrid move or whatever else. But a 1-year deal at 24 is just a weird thing, especially even though I know I just said, can we believe anything that the reporters say? But Mount looking for a little bit of stability and knowing where he's going to be and what he's going to do long term. That makes all the sense in the world to me. So if you want that, you're not going to sign a 1-year deal, are you? I know, Mo, we spoke about it already 2 days ago, but the PR stuff is weird, isn't it? Like, why? How have we? Like, how is there a PR war between the football club and the player that's been at the club since they're 8 years old? You know, like have a PR war with Lukaku. But what do the club say about Lukaku? Fuck all. We never hear anything bad from like Chelsea, like kind of clearly Chelsea-fed outlets about Lukaku. We never say anything. The guy slated us, disrespected us, like our manager, our club, everything to do with us, and barely anyone talked about it, really. It was news for a week, and then no one really gave a shit anymore. And now, whenever we hear anything, it's just from Italy. But with Mason Mount, we have a PR war. Like, it's so weird to me.
I think, yesterday, like last time when we spoke about this, and I've always felt like there was something missing to the story. The fact that obviously the club has come back with their own PR in terms of we've offered him 3, we've tried everything, and all of that stuff does not shock me. I do think it's this one. It's a game of pretty much, you know, who can convince everybody else about what the truth is. And someone in the chat already said it. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. I think both of the sides, in some way, shape, or form, have become quite difficult at handling this negotiation in a manner that is respectful, in a manner that is professional, and in a manner that allows everybody's PR to be actually at a good level. It's now become completely a joke. Personally, the way where I stand with things, no one's bigger than the club. And respectfully, I like what Mount has done for us as a club, and I respect him. But I do feel like if he's not feeling valued, and if he feels like he can get better deals elsewhere, which I think he's in every right, he's allowed to go pursue those options, he should do so. And if we can get the right amount of money for him, I'm not going to lie to anybody. Anything above 60 million for me, good price, take it. We might as well move on, because we have big things to fix at our club, and it can't just be about, you know, Mason Mount every day, because it's very clear we have a big project that we need to fix. Making Mount the whole story and the whole thing, the entire summer, for me seems quite long. So I would love for this saga to end as quickly as possible. Whatever the case might be, for me, he'll get a good goodbye from me. I won't necessarily wish him luck if he goes to any Premier League rival, because at the end of the day, that would be the case for anybody else. But it's one of those things where I do think it's run its course. I don't think there's a healthy ending to this situation other than us parting ways.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that, mate. Absolutely. Another bit of the report of the roundup from yesterday was that Mason Mount is prepared to say yes to Manchester United. It's now down to the clubs to talk about a fee, with Chelsea still wanting £70 million. Pochettino is still hoping he stays. And I'm now going to bring up a different slide from today, because the rest of this, I mean, there was obviously the Nkunku stuff, but we long know that Nkunku is joining us, so like this isn't exactly shocking. And otherwise, was there anything else there? The contract length for Ugarte, some are saying 5 years, some are saying 6 years. Not really the big deal right now, if you ask me. So I'll take it to a bit of Mason Mount stuff today. Where is it? Where is it? Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Bloody hell. When I have so many tabs open, at some point it becomes difficult to know which one.
I was going to say.
I need to close some tabs. Now I've got a bit of a better overview. My apologies. There you go. So it was by The Telegraph. He's a Manchester United correspondent, isn't he, Pice?
Yeah, Docker is, yeah. Yeah,
there you go. And apparently Manchester United are bidding £50 million for Mason Mount. Obviously, negotiations work like that, but apparently we want £70 million. Semi Mockbell a couple of days ago even reported we want £85 million, and they offer 50. First of all, can you just quickly touch on that? Man United aren't even going to try to include Maguire or anything, because we will laugh in their face, please.
No, I don't know where the hell that came from, but
so weird, isn't it?
It's an easy story to sell, isn't it? Because we've been linked with him in the past.
I think actually the guy who said that, like, he said like Pochettino tried to sign him when he was at Hull. Like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Like,
what?
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, it's weird, bro. We got like 55 centre backs. You don't need fucking Harry Maguire. Oh, it does.
Yeah, no, there you go. But yeah, it's interesting. We won 70 mil. They bid 50 mil. I don't think this one's going to be accepted. But yeah, the whole situation, I do wonder, like, apparently everyone agreed to have new negotiations in June. June's just started. Since it's turned June, Mount hasn't even been in London yet, because it's been on a little holiday before going on the international break after the Champions League final and that. So yeah, I don't really know what to make of it, Mo. There's not much more to add. Okay, apparently they bid 50 mil. We don't even know if it's true, I guess, but we're not going to accept 50 mil. But whatever it ends up being, it's we're just. I have to inform you guys. Just giving you the news that there is, but that. What can I say?
The fact that they're trying to lowball us it doesn't shock me in it, because at the end of the day, we all know what the prices are for English talent at this moment in time. The prices are usually a lot higher than this, so they're trying to test our resolve in this situation, because of obviously our circumstances with Mason Mount are not favorable. So why not bid 50 million? I also think it helps them in the negotiation, because if they start low, they can go up in small increments to allow a deal that is better off for them. For me, if we can get them up to 60 plus, and maybe even with bonuses and stuff included in there, it's perfect for us. Generally speaking, though, 50 million as a starting bid, it's a laughable bid from them.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to, I haven't really thought about enough until now. As much as this whole Mount picking United and, it's not about money, I do find it weird that he's picking United, because aren't they kind of at the beginning of a takeover process? Or, no one really knows, because apparently the Glazers want a deal that's good for them, not necessarily for the club, and that's kind of held it up or whatever. But first of all, I'm surprised that they're even acting, because how can you sign players while you're trying to sell the club? That's confusing. But also, why would he pick them in the middle of that situation? Obviously, Ten Hag has certainly put some stability back into it that they maybe lacked before. Even if the results and points total wasn't that much better, it still looks like a more logical process and progress and project. But I still find it odd that he would pick Man United in that middle of the takeover process. I'm not sure how much you know about that takeover situation, but do you find that a little bit odd too, Pice, when you think about it in that sense?
No, to be honest with you, probably going to trigger some Mount stands, but Man United are known for handing out the biggest wages, so I feel like he is going for the money. To Man United,
yeah, they are known for that, absolutely.
To be honest with you, I'd love to see what wages he ends up on. But yeah, I think the takeover process it's very advanced from what I was seeing. I follow a few Man United pages, and it's either the Qataris or Sir Jim Ratcliffe, right, who tried to buy us. So
yeah.
It is slightly strange how they're doing their business when they don't really know who's going to take over the club. But I guess to be honest with you, if you remember our takeover, the summer's already started now. So I feel like they'll have a budget for this summer, and then the takeover will be actually official, and maybe their first window is January, right? Whoever takes over, because the summer's kind of already started now. So yeah, there was a lot of paperwork, right, as well to do with R1 and that sort of takeover. Took quite a long time, even though ours was quite fast tracked. So yeah, the Glazers also they just change their mind all the time. See a lot of reports from Mike Keegan, who covers the Man United takeover, and it's just there's deadline here, and then there's a deadline next week, and he just never sort of it's getting closer, but it's been like this for a while. So I don't think it's got much to do with the takeover.
No, fair enough. Wing with the super chat. Appreciate it very much. Of course, guys, if you have any questions or topics that we might not touch on otherwise, please do use the super chat function to make sure I do actually see your message. But yeah, he or she, well, the picture is a she, but before you had a picture of yourself, I always thought you were a guy, so I'm confused now. But yeah, I would sell Mount for 2 bottles of Ribena. Kai, you seem less convinced about, which is even more weird, because I find it strange. I find the people that, at least people that dislike Mount also dislike Kai. That kind of makes sense to me. But people that dislike one but like the other, those confuse me. Those are very strange. Surely you either got to back both and like both, or not like and not back either. But anyway, I'm a man, woman. All right. Well, fair play to you. Be whatever you want to be for, like it. But yeah, not sure about the 2 Ribenas. So I'll tell you something shocking, guys. I've never had a Ribena in my life. Obviously, we don't have Ribena here in Austria, and I've never bought one when I was in the UK. So
you're not missing out.
But I've never had it. So
yeah, you're not missing out. I'll tell you that now.
Very good.
Ribena is nice, bro. What are you on about?
I don't know about it, mate.
Your palate ain't much to go by. Let's be honest. Sorry, that was a bit harsh, but it's also true.
What do you say? I didn't even hear you.
I said we know your palate isn't exactly the one to go by.
My palate?
Yeah, your taste buds.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
In case you don't know, guys, Pice doesn't eat a lot of interesting food. He sticks to the basics, shall we say, without baiting you out too much. But yeah, I guess to touch more on it, the Kai Havertz situation, Fabrizio said talks between Chelsea and Real Madrid for Havertz are expected to take place soon. No direct contact yet. Some other reports have said it will happen. Price at this point with Benzema leaving, Hazard leaving, we'll touch on Hazard in a minute. But at this point, I have to expect this to happen. Like, it doesn't seem like Chelsea will be against it. It doesn't seem like Poch is too drastically against it either. And if they want him, PSG clearly have money. So, Real Madrid clearly have the money. So I expect this to happen at this point. I don't know how long it's going to take. The build, obviously, today made it sound like it could happen fairly quickly, even though the Madrid pages kind of took it a little bit out of context and made it sound a bit more extreme than it was. Still, I'm expecting this to happen now. Do you, Pice? Not necessarily this week, but at some point.
Yeah, I think it will happen at some point purely because I feel like Real Madrid will just pay. Like, they won't overpay, but I feel like they'll, they're like with Man United, I'm a little bit more concerned, but with like Real Madrid, especially because Carlo Ancelotti apparently wants him, like Perez, he'll just give us the money. Like, something will get done, I'm sure of it. Like, I think they're more ruthless in the market. Like they tend to, when they go for someone, Real Madrid tend to like 99% get them. So, I think that will be the case that he does leave.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, Mo, do you see it that way as well? Or do you still see a way in which either Kai all of a sudden or Chelsea all of a sudden say like, nah, actually he's staying?
I mean, I think the only way he stays is if the offer is not good enough, which I doubt that's going to be the case. My only doubt, if there was any 2 days ago, was actually if this was actually a legitimate link, with Real Madrid wanting Kai Havertz, and now that it's pretty much confirmed, I'm like, damn, fair enough. Yeah. And again, I've always said there's always a right price for players, and I know some people just want to get Kai out of the squad, and for them it's like, hey, at any price, take him, and we'll even pay you at this point. That's how some people want to put it. But personally, I'm trying to recoup as much money as possible from what we invested in the player. So the price tag that I'm hearing of, like 43 to 51 million plus bonus payments, if we can get that up to like 60 mil, I'm like, hey man, it's not. Hey bro, it's not bad.
For me to be happy with it, needs to be 60 mil or more, because he has more years left on his contract. If we're talking 50 million upwards, 60 million upwards for Mount, then Havertz needs to be more than 60 million, in my opinion. And also,
Carefree Lewis, man. My God, man. Carefree Lewis. Christensen's left you. Please, for the love of God, stop this madness.
Yeah, Christensen plays for Barcelona, mate. Are you aware? Hala Madrid. He will hate you now. It's true, Pice. But obviously, Pice said in the private chat here, we paid 72 million. He flopped for 3 seasons, though. He didn't flop for all 3 seasons. In one, he did win us the Champions League. But for 2 seasons, fair enough. But still, he has time left on his contract, and we didn't pay anything for Mount, so you can't compare it to a transfer fee that you once paid. But still, I wouldn't say Mount is better than Havertz or worse than Havertz. I would put them in a roughly similar region with different strength, of course. But still, well, I'm like, well, if you're asking for more than 60 or 70 million or for 1 year left on his contract, Mount, then surely you have to ask for quite significant money for Havertz as well. To be fair, English tax, sure. But now I feel like the English tax is that the relevancy of that has come down a little bit again over the last couple of years. I'm not sure if everyone agrees with that, but I think we need to be asking for, like, it needs to be at least 60 mil for me. But Pice, you don't see it that way? You don't think, well, if we're asking 70 mil for Mount, surely we need to be asking that for Kai too? I know you probably say we shouldn't be asking for that much for Mount either. That's fair enough. But if you're at a point where we're asking that for Mount, surely we should also be asking for that for Kai, no?
I mean, we can ask for 70 mil, but I don't think we'll get it. I think for me, like Mount and Havertz, like if you can get like 55 mil plus, I think we're dancing, to be honest with you. Like, I think that's good, especially with Havertz, because like, as I said, signed for 72 million, like his value has decreased. Like, whether you want to say contract length or what, like I was having again this debate on the space the other day with Alex. He was like, because I said 25 mil for Chalobah would be fantastic, and he was like, that's an outrageous, stupid offer. Like, he's got so many years on his contract, and his contract means we should be asking 40 mil. I was like, I don't care what you ask for. Like, we're trying to make sales here. Like, we need to take money, and I think they're actually good prices. So I don't know. Like,
I think what we forget as well, though, is like,
you got to remember how much we're paying for players, bro. Like,
that too, yeah.
For, like, nothing, but buy everyone for crazy money. That long term will not work out. Like, you can't do that. You know,
it just makes us look bad.
Perspective, but Do you know what I mean?
Right,
It
I
makes
will
us
be
look bad,
like
innit?
if we only lose 12 million from when we sign Havertz, I'll be bloody hell. They might be better than Marina in my eyes.
No, Marina would have sold him for 80, I tell you.
Somehow,
I tell you,
somehow.
bro, she sold Diego Costa for double, for
Yeah, but the
profit
thing is with
double
her though, she
after
takes
he
like
went
4
AWOL and didn't train for 3 months. Like, that's mental.
Yeah, the problem with Marina was though she took like 4 weeks on each sale, whereas these
Yeah.
guys just like.
But you know, pros and cons. I guess pros and cons.
Yeah,
Hey,
probably I guess.
I think although we want to sell players, it's very important that we manage to find a balance in terms of not letting teams off just, by getting them to rip us off on the pricing of the players
because
that
we
we
want
want
to
to
get rid of
sell.
them now. That's
Yeah,
not
like
beneficial to anyone.
we've always kind of known, like, for example, if we go to other teams and approach them about players, we've pretty much known these players want to leave, but they've still charged us whatever the amount that they want. So we've always had to kind of negotiate upwards because we're Chelsea Football Club. So it's important on the other side of things, we don't let these teams think, hey, you can go to Chelsea because there's a fire sale happening. You can literally get anybody on the cheap. I'm worried that that's the type of reputation we built for ourselves by doing these fire sales so quickly. So I just think we slow it down where we need to and ask for the right amount where we need to. If we need to overvalue to get to the right price with these teams, I say overvalue so that then we can hit the right price we actually want anyway.
Yeah, and I do think Isaac makes a fair point. Shout out to you, Isaac, by the way. We'll definitely have you back on some day as well. But he says, if we sell Chalobah for 25 mil, that's 20 million less than what Anthony Gordon was bought for. When you put it that way, to be honest, we should probably ask about 100 mil for Chalobah, quite frankly. Although Gordon did score against us, but who doesn't? You know what I mean? You could cost about £1 and still score against
anybody could score against us, man. We're that bad.
Exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, all right. It's enough really of the Kai Havertz stuff. We're all expecting this to happen at this point. Let's just wait and see how the situation develops, I suppose, and where we end up with in terms of final pricing. As we're talking about, Havertz going to Real Madrid. No, obviously it's not going to be a direct replacement for Hazard, but Hazard is leaving Real Madrid as a free agent as well. They literally just terminated his contract. Sure, on mutual consent, so it wasn't just like they literally told Hazard to go do one, but maybe they also kind of did, because I thought, and the reports until a few weeks ago, was that he wants to see out the last year of his contract. That might have been just to bank the money, which he's now banked most of it anyway because they've paid him out, obviously. But yeah, obviously a lot of sentiment from Chelsea perspective. It's not like I hold a grudge, and I have seen a lot of Chelsea fans that seemingly do hold a grudge. I saw someone that's saying Hazard is as much of a snake, if not more, than Courtois, which I was like, sorry. And I saw someone else. I don't know, because they were like, yeah, but Hazard spoke about Real Madrid way more than Courtois, and at least Courtois had family as a reason to go back. Hazard just wanted to leave. And I'm like, well, I see where you're coming from, but you're still missing a lot of context here. But also, someone said Hazard ain't a Chelsea legend. I'm like, excuse yourself. Like, if Hazard ain't a Chelsea legend, there's not many people that are. But from my perspective, and I put out a poll for this, and obviously you guys can put your perspectives on it as well. Should we bring him back? Now, some people will say yes, some people will say no. My concern would be, and it's mainly here, that everyone knows that he's an awful trainer. And our squad is now full of young players with talent who, what they need the most to succeed is work hard. They're not all, very few, if any of them, are even close to as talented as Hazard is. We can't set an example of have Hazard walk through the door, give him the 10 and everything, be the icon, the legend at the club, like do a Drogba in 2015. But he doesn't have that attitude to like be that role model, I don't think. And so that's why I'm like, would it even be beneficial in that sense? And the man hasn't played football in 3 years. And when he does, he gets injured straight away. So like, it's not like he could even be, it's not like you could say, oh yeah, but he might still be better than Sterling, which he might be. But I don't know. I'd probably say no. I'd take him as a dribbling coach. he still has his house in Cobham. So maybe he wants to come back and play some sort of role. Sure. Very happy with that. But I do not think we should sign him, honestly. I just, as much as I'm saying, oh, we're losing all of the experience and everything, I just don't think Hazard, after the experience he's just had in Madrid, I just don't think it's what we need anymore. Mo, before I go to Pice, how do you see that one? Would you bring him back? And if you would bring him back, is it purely for sentiment, or do you have any good reasons as well?
Brother, I can't lie. Hazard, I'm emotionally attached to the player, man. I don't, as a Chelsea fan, I don't know how you couldn't be, because this guy has entertained us when he needed him to. And my objective mindset tells me no, don't bring him back. But I know if the club in some way, shape, or form put that on the table, I'll bite their hands off and say, yes, do it. And I'll be the hypocrite that said no at the beginning, then ended up saying yes because the opportunity somehow presented itself. So it's such a difficult one because I feel so bad for him, man. Like, even when he was going to Real Madrid, I wished him the best of luck. But a part of me always felt like when he ends up at Real Madrid that things wouldn't work out, not because of injuries, just because of the way that club is. They're very much about, players that are going to uphold them in a certain value in terms of you've got to be selfish, you've got to be looking out for yourself, you've got to have an ego, you've got to have a certain about yourself. And we've always known Hazard to be that guy, like you said already, not the best trainer, but when it comes to match day, the guy was unstoppable.
But the problem is, if we're not going to use him on match day much, then what's the point?
Exactly. So that's where I'm like, my objective mind is telling me there is actually no benefit to him being at Chelsea Football Club right now from a footballing perspective. I do think, however, from a coaching perspective, although many people will say because he was a crap trainer, there's no point in making him a coach whatsoever. I have to disagree. I think young players would be willing to listen to someone like Hazard that would teach them a lot about understanding the way he
if
plays
Sam
as a
Allardyce
footballer.
can be a coach, Hazard can.
Exactly. So for me, I'm like, he can offer something from that perspective, and I would get him to start from like the young age, and I think his presence would be welcomed. However, from a footballing perspective, and I don't think Hazard's best is there anymore, and it'd be unwise for us to go and diminish his legacy with us as a club. And to those people that are saying he's not a legend or he's a snake, I think you need to just, whatever it is that you're smoking, you need to unsmoke it and understand the type of player this guy was for us. Real Madrid came knocking at our door at least 3 years in a row, trying to take this guy off our hands. He renewed his contract with us at a point when he could have easily had leverage on us to try and force a move, and he didn't. He chose to stay.
But he
didn't
still
hold
chose
us
to
ransom.
leave during a transfer ban, which I still don't rate that high.
Which I think I expected him to, because he stayed a whole year extra.
With everything that happened before, but it was still a bad time, and he kind of let us down in that sense a little bit. I got it, but I still,
I think I don't blame him whatsoever.
But I also hold a grudge for Lampard joining Man City, so I'm easy to hold a grudge.
Man, don't even get me started. We've had things happen to us in that sense, anyways. But I do think Hazard is someone that deserves a lot of respect. I don't think we need to rewrite history with him at all. And so, objectively speaking, I would say no. But don't be surprised, guys, if I tweet something else when the situation maybe arises where, maybe Chelsea might be interested in bringing Hazard in as a depth option, because then I'm probably going to jump at it, because emotionally,
I mean, bro,
I know how I feel about
the
the
club
guy,
have decided they're going to do it, I'm going to be all for it.
Yeah, I can't help it. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you're tickling that irk. I mean, Maximum says here that's what I thought Lampard would teach. But the difference and the problem is Lampard was the main coach, the head coach. Hazard wouldn't be the main coach. Lampard as an assistant would be amazing. If Lampard would be willing to stay as an assistant to Poch, I would find that wonderful. Even if it's just for like being the guy that says the harsh truth sometimes. Now, maybe I don't want to say I would find it wonderful anymore, because he did disappoint me a lot these last few weeks. But I still think as an assistant, he would be much better. And obviously, Hazard shouldn't be the main coach. Someone said, wouldn't it be dependent on the wages? I don't think so, because apparently he's even considering retirement. If you're considering retirement, you can't exactly be asking for high wages anymore. So I don't think the wages would be the biggest issue here. But Pice, what's your thoughts? Does the sentiment win, or does the logical mind win?
The logical mind wins for me, as Mo says, if he did come back, I'd be, posting old comps and that sorts of things and getting in the emotional aspect. But first off, I mean, Fabrizio literally shut this down earlier. He said it's not happening. So, yeah, I mean, we don't need to, not like ruin his legacy, but like he's left in the perfect way. It was the perfect ending in Baku. Like, he gave us 3 goals, assists in the final. He literally gave like everything, everything for us on that pitch, for so many seasons. And even in the Europa League final, if you guys remember that interview, like he was like, in football, you never know, that type of thing, if it doesn't go through. So, if he didn't get his dream move to Real Madrid, like he would not, I guarantee he would not have pushed out the club like Courtois did. Like, He was not that type of person. Like maybe he would have at the end of his career like said something like, "Oh, you know, I didn't fulfill this" or something like that. But he would have definitely still stayed and been that unreal player for us. But you know, Real Madrid, bro, like he was like I don't want to say he was too good for us, but like the guy was ridiculous. Like he should have played for Real Madrid, and he did. It's just a shame what happened after, obviously, with all the injuries.
Yeah. The one thing I will always say, I don't think I can sit here and purely blame Real Madrid. It's Eden Hazard's fault that Eden Hazard turned out this way, and that Eden Hazard, by the time he's 32, doesn't.
Bro, after Meunier broke his ankle, bro, he was finished. After that ankle break, it was done, bro. Honestly, it was.
Yeah, but he was already going to be done before that. Like already before he broke that ankle, he wasn't getting games at Madrid, and he was playing awfully, and he was overweight, and he had issues left, right, and centre even before that happened. Now maybe he could have come back from it, but a man that doesn't want to train in his 20s isn't going to want to train in his late 20s and 30s. And unfortunately, the human body isn't as good in your 30s as it is in the 20s. So, yeah, it is that. Someone in the chat keeps talking about Hazard as a centre mid. No. Good luck, Hazard, tracking back when you get encountered. Like, what? No. Hazard is not a centre mid. What are you talking about?
Hey, maybe he can play as a cam. He
yeah, the cam, sure.
Yeah.
Leave me alone with centre mid talk here. What is this? But yeah, Pice, I will take it to a story that has come out from your website. I haven't opened the whole article yet, so if you want me to, let me know. Otherwise, you obviously quickly summarize what's happening here. But apparently, there's that Al Ittihad, just sounds like, you know, someone turned Etihad into a place, but sure. And Al Fateh make proposals for Ngolo Kante, who wants to stay at Chelsea. So, Pice, considering this is from your website, I assume you know a bit more background to it. Do we know at all, or do you now know at all, what the situation with Kante is? Because if he wants to stay, but does he not want to stay under a certain level of wages? Or what's the situation?
I think he's pretty open to, like, sort of, you know, wage decrease or that type of thing. It was just like basically I asked earlier, the Saudi info came from a big Saudi guy who had been, sorry, I was just reading the message. Yeah, he'd been messaging me back and forth for a few weeks. And he said, yeah, I can put this out. He gave the clubs. The second club is not as like interesting for Kante because I think they're like a smaller club in Saudi, but
Al-Ittihad also where Benzema's going?
Yeah, they've just signed Benzema. So yeah, he said they've made they've made offers. Al Nassr, I think Ronaldo has joined them. The team Ronaldo's at. Yeah. They're interested, but no proposal. But yeah, his like representatives have been in Saudi Arabia in the last 2 weeks. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. We've only got like 20 more days or something. I think someone replied. I think Will Rayner replied to like he's officially like a free agent, I suppose. But yeah, you know, then I asked like my usual source, like on Kante, he was like, yeah, it's pretty much what like Fab said, 50-50. Like after the like injury, you know, Chelsea are like reconsidering things, especially with like the midfield rebuild. But they're also obviously like still balancing in their heads, like experience, like how much is he going to play? How much does Poch want him? That type of thing. So I think there's a lot.
I just don't understand how he can be 50-50 in June when his contract runs out. Like, I get that in terms of a final decision, okay, but in terms of whether Chelsea want to keep him, yes or no, I can't understand how that's not decided. Like, if they're like, okay, yeah, we want to keep him, but only on, say, maximum 200k a week or 150k a week or whatever, sure, that's fair enough. And then it's about Kante, does he accept that or does he not? But not basically having decided whether we want to keep him. That I find weird. Like, make a decision, right?
Yeah, no, I think it will happen very soon, but it's okay. About 50-50 at the moment. Also, the Caicedo, like I asked a little bit about Caicedo, and I was told that like some people in the club think that he's like a great long-term replacement and holds similar attributes to Kante that he had at Leicester when he first emerged. So I think that's also interesting. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But you know, there was, I think, a couple of months ago as well, I got told someone actually met Kante. It was one of my followers, and he was like, you know, if I leave Chelsea, I'm staying in London anyways, because like he was that settled there type thing. So, I mean, there's still a possibility, I guess, that he could throw up, you know, a move to Arsenal or Tottenham, but I got to hope that doesn't happen.
Okay, I throw you a theoretical question now, Pies, and up to you what you say. If letting Kante go to Arsenal would mean getting Caicedo, would you do it?
Yes.
All right, Mo, would you do it before I let you speak?
Yep, 100%.
Fair. But yeah, your thoughts on this? Do you agree with me that it's kind of like how can he be 50-50 less than a month before his contract officially runs out? Like, surely now, like a 50-50 a month ago, fair enough. But now there needs to, like, we need to be getting to a decision here.
I think the club is probably definitely considering the situation for what it is. Like, they have to. They have no choice. An injury-prone player that obviously is going to be asking for a significant amount of money as well. I don't think it's as cheap as other players in terms of even getting his contract amount down. So, personally for me, if I'm in Ngolo Kante, it looks like Benzema's done the right thing. I'd say follow him to Saudi. Like, that's the way I kind of look at it. And go grab whatever that money is that he's going to get offered. It might be 150 mil, who knows? It might be a similar amount, who knows? But from our perspective, I do think we're just ready to move on. The fact that Kovacic is already on his way out, I think we need to just do the revamp the way we're already progressing to do so. So I love the guy, but I do think the right thing to do here is to probably part ways.
Fair enough. I mean, if we were to part ways, I would really love it if we went to Saudi Arabia or PSG and not to any other London or...
If we're getting Caicedo, bro, I can't lie. I'm willing to take a sacrifice of this guy playing a year there. I've seen Peter Cech do it. I've seen how many players do it there. I'm not really that fussed, because at the end of the day, if it also slows down their progress as a team, because they, after a year from now, they're going to see the same issues we did in terms of injury proneness, then hey, man, God bless it. God, it's a blessing for us. We get Caicedo. Long-term wise, we've made the right decision.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. One thing I wanted to touch on quickly, because I saw it earlier. I can't bring it up now because I don't know where I'd find it. But I think it was German media that were talking about whether Eden Hazard is the biggest flop in football history. And when you think about it, he kind of might be, you know. For him and Lukaku, like, they're seriously fighting for that crown right now, which is typical Chelsea that we're involved with both. But obviously for us, he was amazing and we love Hazard. But they paid 120 mil, more than that. And they paid him like 25 mil a year. And he's basically been, like, they terminated his contract. You know, man, that is, it's crazy. I mean, Pies, would you say he might be the biggest flop in football history? And if not, who is?
I mean, he's definitely up there. Coutinho, maybe, to Barca, that was like 140 million or something stupid.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
But they got some money from like loans and shit. Do you know what I mean?
To be fair, like, I know, like, he's still there, but like Ousmane Dembele's up there as well with all his injuries. Like, I mean, he's still quite young.
He will have sell-on value to some extent because they signed him so much younger than Hazard.
What was Griezmann signed for by Barcelona?
Oh shit, Griezmann as well. Yeah,
see what I mean? Like,
why do all these guys go to La Liga and flop? What the hell?
Seriously. When everyone was thinking, "Oh, go to La Liga and they'll all score 50 goals," that's what I thought. When Hazard went there, I thought, yeah, he's going to score 35 goals every season now. I was convinced he would. But so how wrong I was. All right, let's finish it off with a bit of a more random one. A report by Simon Phillips. Followed on with from Bobby Vincent, who says, understand Armando Broja's injury recovery. It's all going to plan as it stands, and the Albanian striker is planning to return to first team action in pre-season. And then Simon Phillips went on to say, everyone at the club, as well as Poch, has a real belief in Broja. Was part of the reason why we didn't push into signing a new number 9 in January. Poch feels if he gets back to his best, Broja can be perfect for his system. And then I want to add on that as well. I'm not sure where Nini necessarily got this quote from, but Sterling said apparently something on Broja as well that I can't lie. I've always thought my knack is whenever I've been in clubs, I'll have friends outside and they've not seen them play, and I'll say, he's the next one. It's him. I heard a lot of things about him before, but I never really watched him. He's the truth. Like, where do we stand on Broja? Obviously, a lot of people, whenever he did get chances, like while Potter was still here. And by the way, guys, we still have over 300 people watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Every one of you that's here right now and hasn't subscribed, please do subscribe. Massively appreciate that. And hit the like button. Let's get to at least, how many likes are we on? Definitely not enough, are we? We're only on 77 likes, guys. And we have 95 likes, to be fair. But still, we have over 300 people watching. Let's get to at least 150 likes right now. But yeah, when Broja got a few chances, like under Potter, just before the World Cup a few times, obviously got injured before we came back after the World Cup against Newcastle and a few. There was people that really didn't rate him and was like, he's awful, he can't do anything, uncontrollable. And I, in all of those games, thought he did a pretty decent job, like at just chasing everything down, being strong, being difficult, being like a menace. And I keep saying this, he just reminds me of Diego Costa in every sense of the word, where he's fast, but he can also dribble. He's like capable of it. Not like a Hazard dribble, obviously, but he can dribble because of how strong and fast he is. And he knows where the goal is. I know he only scored 1 goal for us, but still, obviously we don't know how he's going to be after the ACL injury once he's recovered. But I still find it interesting, obviously, what Simon Phillips said. Also, if someone like Sterling, as much as I have my issues with Sterling has seen players play football. If someone like Sterling, what did I just press in? That's not what I wanted to do at all. If someone like Sterling says that about a footballer, should we maybe consider Broja a bit more than we are? Do you reckon, Pice? And by we, I mean us fans rather than the club, because apparently the club, they have a lot of belief anyway.
I think with Broja, it's a really hard one because, like, I saw him at Southampton a lot and I was really excited, you know. If you think about sort of the mold of striker that I could see succeeding at Chelsea and that has succeeded, he kind of fits into that mold. But I think pre-season is going to be really important for him. Like, if he's still got his burst there, like, and if he's still got, you know, the pressing and all that, like, and he comes back, you know, quite sort of like fit, and he does look kind of, you know, similar to how he did in the past, then I think we give him a go, you know, as the backup next season. I think we keep him. I don't think we need to sell him next season. Either that or we send him out on the loan, to be fair. Like, loan could be really good in the Premier League, you know, get him back up to, you know, a season, play every game sort of thing.
I guess it all depends on which strikers we get in that as well.
Yeah, but like, I think we should consider him keeping it as a backup, but I want to see him in pre-season first, because one thing I always said about Broja, he like so heavily relies on his burst. Like, if his burst is gone and he's not as quick, I think he's like pretty much useless, to be honest with you. But you know, apart from like you know, Fofana in the squad, like we don't have many options, and he's probably
like Aubameyang's leaving. Havertz looks like he's leaving.
We might as well keep him. Like,
but, like we need it, because if we don't, then we buy a striker, we still need another one, because we need options.
Like, I mean, I guess Nkunku can play out there, but like,
but even then who's the 10, right?
Yeah, Gallagher. Yeah, like, I think we need that. We need that. We need him as an option, but I need to see preseason first, because there's a big chance, you know, there's a huge knee injury he got. Like, it could have fucked him. So we'll see.
I do still think being as strong as he is, like being a player that relies on strength rather than like on ability and flexibility, makes you more likely to handle it. But when I see a super chat like this from Wing, shout out to you. But no, David Fofana is lucky if he gets a starting spot at flipping Strasbourg. Like, even at Strasbourg, I think he might sit on the bench. I really do not rate him very highly at all. And not necessarily, but the dude just doesn't, to me, on the ball, it's decent, but the dude doesn't know where to go, what he's doing. Like, it's just, when you see, like, his awareness just seems non-existent to me. And I'm like, if you've not made it further than Molde by 20 and then not playing for 6 months at Chelsea, you're never making it, in my opinion. But obviously, I could be very, very wrong. Mo, how do you see this one? What is I don't actually know what your thoughts on Broja are. But what do you see? Well, how do you see this one? Like, especially if you read this, that apparently the club, but also Pochettino, really believe in it, and that he could fit and suit the system perfectly, which is also interesting because he could not be more different from Harry Kane. So it's interesting that he thinks that kind of striker will fit the system perfectly.
I think Pice summed it up perfectly, if I'm honest with you. I think what's good with him as a player is that he's always struck me as someone like you said already, Laurenz, and he reminds me of Diego Costa. He's a very hungry player. He's a menace. He fights for the ball. He's very physical, and that burst of speed that he has that people kind of underestimate is something I've always kind of liked about him. I have got the same worry as Pice in the sense that this injury tends to impact people's ability to have these bursts or runs that they usually are known for. That usually helps with certain way of playing. And I would like to see preseason just to see how he can cope with, you know, the demands of what Pochettino is going to ask for. I do think Pochettino is the type of manager that got the best out of Harry Kane, and if we remember correctly, and I think we may have potentially got someone of that caliber if we give him the right development. And I do think the people that have written him off don't seem to understand why so many players are struggling with us. It's beyond just the individual. For me, I've always felt like the collective is what allows individuals to perform at their finest. Individuals have to be of a certain caliber for them to actually shine, regardless of whether the collective are performing well. And that means for me, like, you've got to be Hazard level in order for you to be, as an individual, stand out. that's where I don't think most footballers will necessarily fall into that category. You need those types of special players. With Broja, I think what I see about him is that he's always kind of shown that he's a player that can actually even feed off scraps. With Chelsea playing as a target man, playing as someone that is up front, sometimes you're going to be starved of service. What can he do by creating little amounts of space? What can he do by being a good linker? What can he do by being able to, physically demand, the ball off the opposition? That kind of stuff is what I'd be looking out for in a player that plays for Chelsea up front. He seems to possess all those areas, but it's clear he needs to be fine-tuned. He needs good coaching and he needs good amount of game time. So if we can provide that for him, I do think he can come really good for us. Worst case scenario, if he ends up becoming a backup, we can still sell him for a large profit. So I personally am very happy to see this report, and it makes me happy to hear that obviously he's return from injuries going as well as it has. The fact that Sterling is speaking very highly of him is very good thing that we can see there. But I still feel like we need to get our expectations to the right level. These players still need time to grow. And with that means that you're going to have to put up with some errors in their games. If people aren't patient with these players, people are going to continuously struggle. Not just youth players that we have to develop, but also experienced players will crumble under the pressure that we put them under as a club. So I'm quite happy to see it. I look forward to seeing what he does in preseason.
Yeah, no, that's the same. Like, I'm not sat here saying I want Broja to be our starting striker next season. That would be ridiculous after the injury and from what we've seen so far. But I see a very good striker in there, a very useful striker in there. Let's see who we sign, whether it's an Osimhen, whether it's a Vlahovic, whether it's a Lautaro Martinez, whether it's God knows whoever it may end up being. Bloody Füllkrug from Werder Bremen. Who knows? But I think Broja can absolutely, first of all, play an important role because you need your backup strikers. Sometimes injuries happen, suspensions happen, rest is necessary, and then you need someone else there. And I absolutely think he can be that guy. And also, we're getting rid of so many Cobham Academy players, graduates that really associate themselves with the club properly. I think it's important to keep some of them also. I think that is very, very important as well. But yeah, Pies, unless you have something else in terms of news that we haven't covered yet that I've not seen somehow, I think there's about time to round this one up. Pies, is there anything? I don't think so, right?
No, I think we've covered everything so far. I can just have a double check, but I think it's I think we've covered everything.
Very good. Very, very good. Thank you, Pies. Thank you, everybody that has tuned in today. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please do subscribe if you haven't already. Still over 330 people watching. So again, any one of you that isn't subscribed yet, please do. It means a lot. Help me get to 20,000 subscribers as soon as you possibly can. Hit that like button on your way out. We're nearly at 150 likes, to be fair. So you've done well, guys. But let's get it all the way there. We can even try to aim for the 200. But just on your way out, before you leave, just click that like button. It really helps me out, and I appreciate it a lot. Of course, before you do that, check the description down below for your links to Pice's website, londonsfirst.com, for example, that article about Kante, the information that the Saudi Arabian clubs are approaching him. You get your exclusives there. You get your details on summaries of outside things. You get your detailed player profile articles, all sorts of stuff. Check out Pice's website. Link is down in the description, as well as his Twitter. And of course, please do also follow Mo. By the way, not sure if the guys that commented on it on the last stream, but all the love for Mo. Big fan. We love Mo. So thank you, Mo, for coming back on. Everybody do follow him on Twitter. His link is down in the description. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And we'll see you next time.